I'm going to be talking to you a little bit about architecture, okay? I didn't do a PhD like Julie did, okay? so it's going to be a bit more brief, okay? So what I'm going to be talking to you guys about today is just a brief history on architecture, how it has evolved through the ages as well, okay? And just a general view of what is architecture as well, okay? Cool, so yeah, here we go. So what is architecture? Can anyone tell me what they think or what they consider architecture to be?
It's the built environment.
Okay, it's kind of like the built environment. Any other ideas, guys?
Old, ancient things.
Old ancient things, yeah.
James has something to say about it.
Maybe, yeah.
Shelter.
Shelter. Yeah, that's a good one.
It can be new too, no? Yeah, architecture is new. Yeah,
Of course, yeah, that's the thing, because it's not just looking at the old, okay? In a way, it's a little bit like the anthropology stuff that you were mentioning. You've got to look at the old to be able to kind of work on the new and to develop the new as well, right? So you take old influences and, you know, cultures and different backgrounds to kind of develop new projects and just develop new buildings, okay? And new designs, of course, because people are always innovating in this field, right? So, architecture is basically the process and the product, okay, of basically like planning, designing, and constructing, okay, buildings and physical shapes, okay, or physical structures even, okay. And basically, architectural works are not only perceived as cultural symbols, okay, but they're also landmarks and really like an art form, okay, because people really work hard to, you know, like design buildings and make them, you know, pretty crazy. I don't know if you guys have seen, like, obviously the Sydney Opera House, or, you know, we've got, like, actually I've got a picture of, like, this really crazy building called the Dancing Building. Okay, so you're gonna see it in a second, okay? This is more like modernist and postmodernist architecture, okay? So I'll show it to you guys in a second, okay? So yeah, basically, architecture is an art form where design and utility take on a new function, okay, to merge creative and interactive spaces and physical structures, okay? Cool. So now I would like to talk to you guys about a book called De Architectura, okay? And this was basically a book written by a Roman guy, okay, called, what was he called? Vitruvius, okay? So, okay, cool. So this guy, Vitruvius, yeah, he basically, I don't know, this is like the most ancient, I don't know, manuscript or book that people have been able to find in the subject of architecture, okay? And it dates back, I think, to the 1st century, okay? Just the 1st century, obviously I think probably in the Roman Empire, okay? Cool. And basically, according to Vitruvius, am I on the right slide? I think so. Yeah, okay, perfect. Okay, so according to Vitruvius, a good building should satisfy 3 important key factors, okay? Which are basically durability, utility, and beauty, okay? Can anyone tell me what you think each one means? So what do you think durability would mean, guys? Yeah, pretty much, exactly. So a building has to last, okay? It has to stay up, okay? It can't just like fall apart as soon as you make it, right? So otherwise, you know, there's not much point in it, okay? What about utility? What do you guys think that means?
The use.
Exactly. So the use that the building is going to provide for people or for the society, okay? So the building has to match its purpose, okay? Okay, perfect. And what about beauty? Beauty should be a bit more simple.
No, that's kind of difficult, though, right?
Absolutely, it's absolutely subjective, okay? But it has to be basically aesthetically beautiful, okay? Or aesthetically pleasing, okay? Again, it's subjective, okay? Because obviously people, you know, have different opinions of what's beautiful, okay? And actually we're going to go into that as architecture progresses. There's been a lot of like kind of conflicts in architecture, okay? Of people, you know, obviously coming up with new ideas and ignoring old ones, bringing back old ones into the future. So yeah, it's interesting. Okay, cool, perfect. So first of all, we're just going to be looking at ancient architecture. Okay? So just give me a second, pass it over. Okay, so you can see we've got like some pretty crazy buildings there. Okay. So we've got like the pyramids of Giza. Anyone know where that is? I mean, I know you know where that is. Well, actually, you might know where all of them are, right? Like,
Oh, I hope so.
I hope so, right? Yeah. Can you guys see properly? Like,
Yep.
Okay, perfect. So we've got the pyramids of Pisa. I think this is an aqueduct in Segovia. Okay, and we've also got I can't remember what this one's called. I've heard of this one. Yeah, that's it. That's it. Oh, very good, guys. You actually know know better than I do. Yeah. Yeah. So it's the Pantheon in Athens. Okay. Right, perfect. So in many ancient civilizations, okay, such as those of Egypt and Greece and the Roman Empire, okay, architecture and urbanism reflected the constant engagement, okay, with the divine, okay. So it was very like kind of religious focused, okay. Most of the buildings were meant to kind of adore the deities, or to kind of have that connection with the divine. Okay, that was the main purpose of architecture in these times. Okay, and yeah, they would just like represent symbolically some gods or pretty much that. Okay, just mainly focused on religion. Okay, all right, perfect. So yeah, cool. That's pretty much it for this part. Okay. Now we'll be talking a little bit about Asian and Islamic architecture. Okay. So we've got a few different buildings. Can anyone name any of them? Do you guys know any of them at all?
The one in the middle is Taj Mahal.
Yeah, absolutely. So that's Taj Mahal. Do you know where that is, Julie?
It's in India.
India. Yeah. Oh, I don't know the city.
Yeah,
Don't worry. So yeah, absolutely. It's the Taj Mahal in India. Okay. Which one? Sorry. This one? Yeah, absolutely. So that one's called, it's like the Dome of Rock. Yeah, absolutely. Perfect.
Sé como es Santa Sofía de Constantinopla, ¿no?
No, this is actually like the
Blue Mosque.
Blue Mosque.
Istanbul.
Yeah, that's it. Blue Mosque in Istanbul. Yeah, that's it. Perfect, guys. Yeah.
You
Well,
were close.
you were wrong there. Yeah, exactly.
It's the
Okay.
bottom right of the Forbidden City you mentioned.
Bottom right, so sorry, so I have to think about it the other way. So this is actually, it's not the Forbidden City in Beijing. Actually, this one's got a kind of weird name. I'm not going to try and bother pronouncing it, okay? Because it's in Korea, okay, and it's called like the Yosobuki something, okay? That's why I didn't bother trying to pronounce it, okay? So that's in I think North Korea or maybe South. I'm not actually too sure. Sorry. Okay, and finally we've got this. This is actually called the Golden Palace. Okay.
Oh.
Anyone like from looking at it? Where would you guys say it was from?
Japan.
Absolutely, yeah, Japan. Perfect. Okay, very good, guys. Okay. So basically, in Asian and Islamic architecture, okay, they were mainly concerned with expressing macrocosm and microcosm. Do you guys know what that means?
Yes.
Yeah. What would that be?
Microcosm is when you have a certain smaller part of the macrocosm is the big, and the microcosm is just the small part inside of it. Yeah.
Exactly, that's pretty much it. So macrocosm is looking at a kind of like, just like Julie said, like a smaller part of like, I don't know, let's say the universe or the world even, okay? So they were looking at that, okay? And the microcosm would be looking at more kind of small communities, villages, things like that. So they were very much focused on this, okay? And like in ancient architecture, okay, it's just as we looked at like the ancient Egyptians and Greece and all that stuff, okay, they were mainly focused on religion, okay, so kind of paying homage to like deities and things like that, okay. So yeah, they were mainly focused on developing features to suit religion and the social needs of the society, okay. So the religious and social needs of the society, okay, because obviously religion was very important for them. Obviously for like the Islamic culture is like one of the main things, right? And for the Asian culture, I guess like obviously in India they've got like a lot of deities as well. Then again, talking about like Japan and Korea and China, they've also got like a pretty vast like what do you call it, like mythology and this kind of stuff. Okay, so it's mainly focused on that. Okay, perfect. Okay, now these are three quite big important parts of architecture. Okay, but I just kind of condensed them into one because obviously for the sake of time. Okay, so now what we'll be talking about is the Middle Ages, the Renaissance period, and also the Industrial Age. Okay, sorry.
It's difficult to read.
Yeah, I have to like read it upside down. Okay, sorry. So yeah, we'll be talking about Middle Ages, Renaissance, and Industrial Age, okay? Alright, perfect. So basically in the Middle Ages, architectural undertakings were mainly abbeys, cathedrals, okay? So again, they were mainly focused on religion, okay? This was a very, like obviously the Dark Ages were mainly focused on God and like, you know, repentance and all this kind of stuff. So as you can see, like we've got like the Notre Dame Cathedral there. Okay, buildings had a very much kind of imposing presence, really. Okay, because in this time, obviously, with like repentance and like this kind of like people were like scared of God, you know. So architecture portrayed that. Okay, buildings were very kind of I don't know, massive, like very imposing. When you walk into them, it was kind of like you're like a little bit afraid of being in there, you know. So I don't know, have any of you visited Notre Dame Cathedral? Okay, so like if you've been, it's like it's really intimidating, you know. You go in there and it's like whoa, you know, like, and obviously like in even the what do you call it, like the kind of like small details that they used just on the faces of the buildings, okay, were very kind of like lugubrious, okay, very kind of sad, depressing, okay, with people like crying and, you know, like whipping themselves and stuff like that, okay. So this was the Middle Ages, okay. Basically moving on to the Renaissance. Renaissance was a little bit more light-hearted, okay. There was a lot of great advancements in the Renaissance, okay, which obviously showed through the architecture. Okay, there were great advancements in the fields of humanities, obviously technological and engineering advancements, which basically changed the face and the structure of buildings. Okay, so and yeah, obviously, like sorry, I forgot to mention in the Renaissance. It was very much focused on the role of the individual in the society. Okay, so people started to focus more on that. Okay. Perfect.
Sorry guys.
Yeah, no worries.
We'll see you next week.
Take it easy. Okay. Then moving on to the Industrial Age. Okay. The Industrial Age basically gave way to an emerging knowledge in scientific fields and the rise of new materials and technology. Okay. So obviously in the Renaissance we already started to have like a great development in humanism and technology, engineering, science, okay? But the Industrial Age gave way to a much broader perspective of these fields, okay? So architecture and engineering began to separate, okay? So the role of an architect began to be more focused or more specialized in terms of design, in terms of like the three basically factors that I mentioned previously. So basically, like planning, design, and constructing. Okay, and the role of an engineer basically became more focused on the structure of the actual buildings. Okay, so so yeah, actually, like this was a kind of weird time because architects, the fact that they became so focused on design and the kind of like more artistic side of the architecture, it kind of you know, it just kind of like took away from the technical aspects of it. So often people were like concentrating on the aesthetics and, you know, creating like really beautiful like facades with a lot of like little details. Like obviously the example I used, oh, what happened there? Sorry guys. Hold on, let me just move. Okay, there you go. Okay, cool. So we've got like the, I think it's the Palais Garnier in France. So like you can see, like, I mean, actually you can't really see properly, but you've got like a lot of statues, like a lot of gold being used, a lot of like little details in the buildings. Okay, so so yeah, perfect. And sorry, I forgot to mention, like this is St. Peter's. Yeah, Basilica, that's it. So St. Peter's Basilica, okay? And you can also see like how in the Renaissance they started to include like domes, you know, they started to combine like different aspects of space and different kind of like concepts and structures, okay? Okay, right, perfect, very good. Now, moving on, we're going to be talking now a little bit about, okay, this changes, about modernism and postmodernism, okay? So I've got like, this is basically a cathedral in Brasilia. Okay. I don't know if you guys have ever seen it. Okay, yeah, there you go. You will see it. Okay, perfect. And this is the dancing building that I mentioned to you guys. Okay, it's in Prague. If you ever visit Prague, make sure to go there because it's like really crazy. Yeah. Okay, so basically in modernism, it basically began around the 20th century. So pretty much just after the First World War. Okay, so obviously things were being rebuilt. Okay, people were having like a new kind of view of the world. It was basically like a new era, for architecture. Okay, and the big change here was that people had a general dissatisfaction for buildings that concentrated a lot on the elaborate decoration and on the kind of like the really small details and the historical kind of side of architecture, really. Okay, so people were dissatisfied with that. So actually, in this modern age, like people started to, architects started to look at more what would you call it? Like they were focusing on the needs of like middle class and the working class. Okay, so there was a big change there. Okay, so they were mainly focusing on what would you call it? The pure forms of the buildings. Okay, so they kind of simplified things. An example of that would be the cathedral in Brasilia. Okay, so they started to look at more pure forms, like more geometrical kind of forms and things like that. Okay, and even like there was like a big advance in structure. Okay, and then the technicality of it as well. The structure started to be more visible. Okay, like. We haven't arrived exactly to the. Do you guys know what Art Deco is?
Mm.
Yeah. So this was kind of in between the postmodernist and the modernist kind of era. Okay. So you can really start to see the structure of buildings, and it's more raw, really. Okay. So yeah, that's pretty much it. Okay. And for postmodernist architecture, okay, not many people were so happy with the simplicity of modernist architecture. Okay. So they kind of thought, why are we ignoring like all of this historical kind of background and all this cultural information that we had, right? So they started to kind of like bring that into their design again. Okay. So this gave rise to postmodernism, okay, which produced a style that combined contemporary building technology and cheap materials. Okay. So this was actually the time when architects were like dealing with clients, okay, and I don't know if you really know about architecture, but with architects you've got a budget, like you've always got a budget, and clients obviously want the best they can get for the lowest price they can get, right? So this was a kind of, there was a big change in the materials that were used and in the techniques that were used as well, okay? So low cost really meant quite a lot at this stage, okay? And yeah, that's pretty much it. Okay, so people started to look at more, try to bring in like classical styles and even kind of like original building styles. Okay, so they started to like be influenced by pretty much like everything. Okay, pretty much like all kind of building styles. Okay, not just so much like classical and with like little details, which was very common to see in the Renaissance and this kind of periods. Okay, all right, perfect. So moving on, we are going to be talking about architecture today. Okay, so architecture today is very much focused on environmental sustainability. Okay, this is a big thing at the moment. Okay, because obviously we're at a kind of stage with our planet that people are trying to be a bit more conscious about like the materials they use. The impacts that buildings have on the environment, and not just only the environment, but also like in the kind of visual impact. Okay, so people are kind of going more towards their roots, really. Okay, so obviously it doesn't mean like just towards their roots, but obviously they're still making advancements, but using kind of like renewable materials, and just thinking about like these little details. Okay, so. So yeah, basically, like architects are becoming more and more encouraged and educated onto environmental sustainable design, rather than solutions based on costs. Okay, as it was very common in the modernist era. Okay, so we have like green roof designs, biodegradable materials, and more attention to a structure's energy usage. Okay, cool. And And here basically you've got like the Bird Nest Stadium in Beijing, okay, which is just there. Okay, and this is just like a block of flats in Switzerland. Okay, I can't remember which guy designed this, but yeah, it's very nice. Okay, it's very nice, and you can see. I'm not too sure. It just said Switzerland, so yeah. But obviously, you can see how people are starting to have a kind of try to bring in a more sustainable design with like roof gardens and this kind of stuff. Okay, so yeah, people are definitely going more, feeling more connected with nature. Okay, perfect, guys. Okay, so basically, just to kind of like finish this section off, okay, I would like to share a little video with you. Okay, and this is basically about an architect who has been like, very much acclaimed. Okay, it's a guy called Jacques Ingels. I'm not sure if I pronounced that correctly. Okay. But yeah, he's a cool guy, okay? He's basically making a lot of progress in the field, and yeah, I would just like to share this video with you.